All right, good day, everyone. I welcome you guys back to Study Express Academy. So, without wasting much time, we're going to start in a few minutes or probably a few seconds to go. So, also, like you always know, every Sunday we're always here to give out value in 1, 2, 3 hours just for the short time for the week. And also, let's wait a little bit for our other students to join in. Okay, so everybody should engage. So if you're already online, just send "I'm ready." Okay, if you're online and you're on the on the live video currently, type in "I'm ready." I'm ready. Yes. So today, as usual, we're going to start with economics. So with our last tutor in our last live session, we're going to continue with the topic, which is demand and supply. Okay, so our tutor is going to continue with that, and then after that, immediately after that, we start with the physics part, which we were doing the first concept, right? So with that, just give us a few seconds, and we're going to start. So make sure you are still on the live session. Just wait a few seconds, and we're going to start.
All right. All right. Welcome everyone, and it's nice to have you guys again to be to have today's session after where we stopped last class, and today's class will basically be continuing from where we stopped, right? And obviously, we'll be treating something that is so confusing that would really want to actually make sure that everything is really clear, right? So let's jump right into it and now let's see where we can actually get to before the end of this class. All right, so just like I said, we'll be continuing from where we stopped last class. And obviously, it's a confusion that economic students do have when it comes to we doing what exactly we want to do today. And because of that, I would want you to stick around, make sure you get anything that is going to distract you off the table, and you make sure that you concentrate your 100% to get it once and for all. Remember, if you do not get it, it's more or less like failing the whole chapter. But if you do get it, that's exactly you being what? A genius. So make sure that you get it once and for all, and you're totally going to be fine with it. All right, so let's see. Let me change my marker. So basically, we'll be going to this, and obviously, this is where we'll be continuing from where we stopped last class. So, but before I dive into this, let's do a short recap of what we learned last class. So after we've done that short recap, we should be able to move forward from there, right? Now let's see. Where we stopped last class was we explaining price system. If you do remember, I started off with 100 people being on a desert, right? And there was just one table water. Yeah. We said something around that. And I think what we made mention of, I'll just try to be very specific now, just the bullet point. So we said something about demand. We said something about if you want something but you can't afford it, then we say what type of demand is that? Ineffective demand, right? And we said if you want something and you are able to afford it, that means you are able to get it, then we call that type of demand what? Ineffective demand, right? Exact. Oh, sorry, effective demand rather. So it means that when you want something and you're able to get it, effective. When you want something and you are not able to get it, ineffective. And we said effective and ineffective does not mean those are the two types of demand. No, those are not the two types of demand. We are just trying to talk about how the forms of demand can be. And with that, we moved on to, if I remember correctly, we moved on to what was demand. Demand is the quantity a consumer is willing and able to buy, blah, 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 like that, right? At a given price and at a particular period of time. Quite good. Then we went on to we talking about, oh, what are the what is the law of demand? Yeah, there are so many laws of demand actually, but the prominent one is the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. And I remember I was very specific when it comes to talking about something that exists before you say the law, right? If you remember, I said every law always has a condition. You just don't state a law because there is a condition that is at the entry of that law before that law can actually what? Before that law can be satisfied. And for demand, we'll say what ceteris paribus. That means all of that things being equal. All of that things being equal means that if humans' behavior are what can be predicted, obviously, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. We said all of this last class. If you have not checked it, you can actually check the previous live video. I'm sure you are going to get all of this. And from there, we went on to we explaining that what relationship exists in demand. If you remember quite well, we said an inverse relationship exists, or we call it what a negative relationship existing in what in demand. If you do remember that quite well, and with that, we moved on to something else. If I remember correctly, we moved on to demand curve, right? And we said demand curve slopes what? Yeah, think about it. We said something about it. Demand curve slopes downward from where? From the left to the right. Exactly. Is exactly what you are thinking. So if demand curve is sloping from left to right, it means that it is going to look something like this, right? Mhm. When something is like this, let me do it here. If something is like this, we say this thing is what is convex to the origin. Convex to the origin. We are going to talk more about this when we get to theory of consumer behavior. That's what we're talking about in different stuff. But for now, I just want to tell you that this shape means when something is convex to the origin, and when it is the other side, maybe when the shape is looking like this, then we say that is concave. That means when we do topics like production possibility curve, you start seeing things like that. But for now, we're talking about what demand, right? So demand curve slopes downward from left to right. Demand, the law of demand states the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Negative and what? Or inverse relationship. Very good. I think I went on by explaining demand schedule. I went on to explain types of demand. So let's say a little bit about types of demand, what we said last class. Types of demand. How many types of demand do we have? Basically four, right? First one, derived demand. Second one, competitive demand. Third one, complementary or what? Or joint demand. And the fourth one, composite demand, right? And we said each of those four, we were able to explain in depth about them the last class. And because we were able to explain in depth about them, we failed to actually treat some questions because there was a lot of time being wasted even before we get. Even today, we are left with few minutes. So let's just see whether we can actually move forward quite very fast to see whether we can finish what we have written. And if there is still enough time, we'll get questions for us to solve. Now, let's see some of the things that we'll be talking about today. Is we talking about from where we stop. So, looking at the types of demand that we said, starting with derived demand, we said derived demand is when a commodity is necessitated by another commodity. Do you remember? If I want something, but I need to have something before I can want that thing, like wanting a bread, then you need to want flour before you get the bread. So we said that's an example of derived demand. And I said something very peculiar last week. I said factors of production is an example of what? Derived demand. If you do remember. Yeah, we made mention of that. If you are just seeing the live video for the first time, I would really implore you to go back to this previous live video so you can actually get everything we are talking about right now before we move forward to this class. I'm doing all of this recap because I want to ease myself into this part of this topic so you won't actually get lost because you need to connect what you have known before to what you are about to know. We went on to competitive demand, right? So we said competitive means when two things are in competition, right? It means that both two things are doing the same thing and they can satisfy the same. It means that two things are basically close substitute. If I don't want to use one, I could easily use the second. If I'm not using the second, I could easily use the first. It means that when a commodity has substitute, then you say that commodity is that commodity perhaps is what is a competitive demand, right? Like, and I gave an example. I said Milo Bonfita. Then I went a little bit deeper by asking you one question. I said if I look at Milo and I'm looking at Bonfita, if there is increase in the price of Milo, how exactly is it going to affect Bonfita? You remember what we said? Exactly. If you don't know about it, go to the previous live session to actually check it out. But we said if there is increase in the price of Milo, it is definitely going to lead to increase in quantity demanded of what? Of Bonfita. Why? Because the moment there is increase in the price of Milo, people leaves Milo. They leave Milo actually. Then they go where? Then they go buy Bonfita. Exactly. So it will lead to increase in quantity demanded of Bonfita. And we said what type of relationship exists like that? That's a positive relationship, right? So it means that for competitive demand, positive relationship exists under competitive demand. Then I went on to complementary demand, right? We said complementary is when it's joint, and we said when two commodities can do, you must pick them together before you can be satisfied with it. Like gun, bullets, like bread, beans. I know bread, beans can, yeah, that is not a perfect example, but when something is perfect substitute and when something is perfect complement, they are different. Like gun, bullets now, you can tell them to, you can say they are perfect complement. Perfect complement means you can't do one without having the second. Perfect complement means there is nothing else that can work for that one. For example, if I were to hold gun, what else can work with gun except bullets? Nothing. So it means gun and bullet is an example of perfect complement. There is a question in your jam question asking about perfect complement actually. So when you want to know perfect complement and you want to know perfect substitutes, there are graphs for them. But that is exactly not what I'm here to explain right now. So let's just move forward with and go with the flow. Bread and butter, right? Gun and bullet, car and petrol, car and gas. You know, some cars use gases, right? For those type of commodity, we said if there is increase in the price of bullets now, for example, what will happen to gun? You know, we both said that obviously people will not buy bullets. If they are not buying bullets, they don't have any reason to go and buy gun. So there will be decrease in quantity demanded of gun. So increase in the price of bullets will lead to decrease in the quantity demanded of gun. What relationship is that? One is going up, one is coming down. That's an inverse or negative relationship. Do you understand that? We said all of this last class. If you don't really understand, I will implore you before you move forward, or you can actually still know that this is a live session that is being recorded. You can previously check the previously last class so you can actually move very quickly with us. And with that, we moved on to composite, and after composite, we moved on to factors affecting demand, right? Now, I really need your attention with factors affecting demand because everything I'll be doing in this class today, when it comes to change in quantity and change in demand, I'll be talking more about factors affecting demand because that is the core of my explanation today. So what are the factors affecting demand? I said factors can also be called determinants of demand. Think about it. What makes you buy what you buy? What makes you buy that thing that you currently bought? Number one thing that makes you buy things ordinarily is what? The price of goods and services, right? If the price is fair, you buy it. If the price is worse, you don't buy it. Basically, so price is number one thing that affects your demand. What's the other things that affect your demand? Price of other commodity, or we say price of related commodities. Like what? I want to buy Milo, then I got influenced with the price of Bonfita. It means that if I change my demand from Milo to Bonfita, I was influenced by a related commodity. That's just it. So what makes you buy things you buy could also be price of other or related commodities. Any product that has a substitute, most of the time, what makes you buy them is maybe if they are cheaper than the rest of their substitute. If I want to buy Milo now, I will easily want to ask how much is Bonfita, how much is Ovaltine, because I will want to buy the cheapest one out of it and the one that I'm going to get the most satisfaction from, right? So if Milo is the cheapest one, I might want to go for Milo because Milo would obviously do the same thing just like Ovaltine and Bonfita. I'd rather want to get the cheapest. So price of related commodity affect your demand also. What are the other things that we made mention of? If you remember, we talked about income of the consumer, we talked about government policy, we talked about habits, we talked about weather condition, we talked about population, we talked about so many things last class that we said are factors. Think about it. Anything could be your factors. Factors affecting demand could be expectation. Remember, there is something called abnormal demand, which we failed to explain last class. So for abnormal demand, it means that this kind of people do not follow the law of demand. Like what? They don't say the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded, the higher the price, the lower the... No, they don't follow that law. What do they follow? The higher the price, the higher they buy. That means the higher the quantity demanded. The lower the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Yeah, you must be thinking, what kind of commodity would that work for as a consumer? You would obviously not want to go for a good that is expensive. Now, let me give you a very good scenario. Assuming you are in a class, or perhaps I want to say you guys are jam students, right? Then when you went to your respective lessons, or perhaps in your house, one of your neighbor just come to you and say that, oh, L'Oreal, because I love you, I have one good thing to share with you. And you were so eager to say, oh, tell me, what else? What is it? The person said, oh, I have one XXL, like one of the best commodity to show you. And because it is you and because I love you, I would definitely would want you to actually buy it instead. Then you are so curious. What is it? Then the person brought out something that looks like gold. And the person asks you, L'Oreal, if you can give me 100, or let me say, if you can give me 500 naira, I will sell this gold for you. As somebody that is very smart, as L'Oreal would be very smart, do you think L'Oreal is definitely going to subscribe to buying that gold for 500 naira? Or would you really want to feel like you need to buy the gold for 500 naira? Or do you think that you're actually going to pay for that gold for 500? Think about it. We are talking about gold. Even 1 million sometimes, or 500,000 does not even work to buy a small pieces or a small amount of gold. Somebody is now willing to sell it for 500 naira. Shouldn't you have known that it's a fraud? Exactly. You would not want to buy gold when it is cheap. Your mind will only tell you that a gold is original when it is very expensive. Exactly. So for products like that, the higher the price, the higher the quantity demanded. The lower the price, then somebody wants to fraud you, obviously. The lower the price. So those ones, they follow abnormal demand. And for abnormal demand, obviously, it will not follow the same demand curve like this one. It follows like this instead, which we are also going to get to when we get to supply, right? So the higher the price, remember, this is always the point for the price. The higher the quantities demanded. So as you can see, when this one is going up, this one too is going up. So for abnormal demands like this, what are the examples of abnormal demand, like that actually give birth to abnormal demand? Like what? We say we have goods of ostentation, we have giving goods, we have expectations. All of these three things I explained are basically some things that you need to know as an economic student, obviously. Number one, I said goods of ostentation. When goods like luxury goods, what I just explained using gold, for luxury goods like that, obviously they are born with abnormal demand nature. The lower the price, the lower you buy them. The higher the price, the higher you want them, because that must be the original one. And for expectation means that, oh, you foresee the price of that thing will get expensive very soon, and that is the reason why you are buying more now. So for products like that, they go along with abnormal demand. So, and also inferior goods or gifting goods. We call that one gifting goods. I'm not sure if you have seen them before, but we have something like this. So gifting goods, actually gifting is a human. So he named it after himself. So gifting goods means that these are goods that you buy the opposite when the price when your income is actually higher. This is what I mean. Normally, as normal humans, you buy more when your income is more, and you buy less when your income is less. But what in a situation where you buy more when your income is less, and in a situation where you buy less when your income is more? Think about it. Let me give you a very good example. If you don't understand everything I've been saying, a good example is if I'm on a salary of 10,000, what do you think I buy more of as a food? I buy more of gari at home, right? I can buy 3 big buckets of gari. But what do you think would happen if my salary increased from 10,000 to 100,000? Do you think I'll be buying more of gari just like when I was buying of 10,000? Obviously not. You buy less gari when you're on a much more higher salary because you think that you have money now. People should not be saying you're buying gari. So it means that gari to you is an inferior good, or we say it's a gifting good. So you buy less of it when you have more money, and you buy more of it when you have less money. So for goods like that, they are abnormal in nature. Think about it. Normally, it should be I buy more of something when I have more money, but instead it is I buy more of it when I have less money. So for product like that, we call those ones, they are still under abnormal. But as I've said, is that the topic we're doing? Obviously not. We've not even started. So it means that everything I've been saying since are things that I expected you to have done since the last live class that we did. So we did demand. Yes, we explained what demand is, but did you really find out on your own what demand is in your own language? If you had done that, then you would have actually you would have actually get exposed to what is called abnormal demand. Obviously, if there is demand, there should be an abnormal demand. There should be something that goes in opposite direction of something that you are learning, obviously. So you should have actually met abnormal demand. Even though we never said it in class, I expected you to have actually met it. And obviously, you should have actually met examples of abnormal demand, the likes of goods of ostentation, the likes of expectation, the likes of inferior goods. All of those things are examples of what product could give birth to what abnormal demand. As I've said, that is just by the way, we just trying to make mention of since what we are learning is a straight path, right? But we need to actually pick up every pebbles, every stone we have on that path before we can get our final destination. So me explain abnormal demand is one of the pebbles that we saw on the path. So now let's come back to this. Now, changing demand and changing quantity demanded. As I've said, one of the most confusing thing in economics after you learned about introduction to demand is this particular guy. As small as this guy is, it could be as a full question in WAEC. Not once, not twice, where I will see question in WAEC saying that, oh, with the aid of diagram, differentiate between change in demand and change in quantity demanded. That's a full set of a question. As short as that is, they don't expect you to use nothing less than 2 pages to explain it. Think about it. 2 pages to explain something that it's barely even covered a single line in your book. With the aid of diagram, differentiate between change in demand and change in quantity demanded. Just single sentence, and you have to use 2 whole pages to explain it. Yes, actually, as small as it is, it takes a whole lot to get it to what to get it to the perfect state. Let's put it that way. So, and that's exactly what we are going to be learning in the next, maybe in the next 30 minutes, because we've used a lot of time already. So I've used 30 minutes just doing recap and introduction of where we stopped last class. So we are going to continue from where we stopped. And let's see. Now let's start with the first one. not basically the first one here. I mean, change in quantity demanded, since that seems to be the most, like, a little bit easier one. Let's see. Now, change in quantity demanded. Now, before I actually dive into it fully, remember, this is a live session where you really want to get something that was being explained in class for 2 hours within 10 minutes. So what we are going to be doing is to make sure that we hit the nail and you get what you want to get as fast as possible. I won't parabolate, do not worry. I won't go off point, obviously not. I'll just go straight to what you need to know. And definitely, do not worry, you will definitely understand it perfectly well. As far as you attended last live session. If you've not, don't worry, this session is recorded. Go to the previous one, get to know about that, then come back to this, and you'll be on the right track. So, change in quantity demanded. The first thing you need to note between these two guys was that I call this change in demand and I call this change in quantity demanded. It means that the only difference between this one and this is the what? Is the quantity. That means the moment I remove the quantity, they are both the same, basically. So let me ask a pretty simple question. What make you buy more or what makes you buy less? Maybe what makes you buy more is what I'm just trying to ask is that what makes you get quantity, more quantity or less quantity? What makes you buy more quantity or less quantity? That seems to be perfect when I said that. Okay, let's use it like that. What makes you buy more quantity? What makes you buy less quantity? I think this is a question that should speak to your mind straight up. For whatever answer that you might be thinking of, I'm not sure what it is, but it should be the right answer actually. So, what could make you buy more or what could make you buy less could be what exactly? Let's see. Do we have any answer that is talking to that? Yeah, I saw some saying, oh, maybe income. Okay, anybody else? Let's see. Some might be saying maybe habits, maybe taste. But actually, what makes you buy things more than when you buy it less is basically the price. Think about it. If I have 15 naira and they are selling something for 10 naira, how many would I be buying? Obviously, I'll be buying. How many would I be buying? Five, right? 15 naira, I only have 15 naira and they are selling that thing for 10 naira. I'll buy five. But what if that thing suddenly increased in price and they put it to 20 naira instead of 10 naira? How many would I be buying? Two and a half. Exactly. So it means what made me buy less was because the price was smaller. What made me buy more was because the sorry. What made me buy less was because the price was high. What made me buy more was because the price was less. It means that the only thing that can make me buy more or less is the what? Exactly. Is what you are thinking. Is the price. This word is so big that it has caused a lot of destruction when it comes to certain questions in economics, even to 200 and 100 level. Yeah, you'll meet this topic there actually. So do not in any way take it with levity. Price is the only thing, and I'm going to say that again, only factors, maybe not factors, factor affecting what? Change in quantity demanded. I don't want you to cram it. That is the reason why I'm actually taking my time to explain it. Quantity, what can make your quantity to change? Price. In any way you want to think about it, it is only price that can make your quantity to change. And because it is only price that can make your quantity to change, think about it that it is the only factor that affects change in quantity demanded. You know, price is also one of the factors affecting demand. We said it now. Factors affecting demand are price, price of related commodity, income, population, blah blah blah. So only price in that factors affecting demand that affect what? Change in quantity demanded. But that's not where we are going, basically. Yes, this is the most important thing I need to say in this place, but let's start from the beginning now. What is the meaning of change in quantity demanded, and how would JAM set question? Because that's exactly why we are here. How does JAM set question relating to this? How does JAM set question relating to this? And that's exactly what we might be learning right now. So first thing first, another name for change in quantity demanded is what? Basically, that's what we need to learn. And that's what we might be talking about. When you check your past question, when you check your past question, so you'll be able to know very well that yeah, most of the time they don't really call it change in quantity demanded, right? So they call it something else most of the time. And what is it called? It's called movement along the demand curve. They call it movement along the demand curve. Or some even just short it just to be more or less like movement. You know, we don't like stressing ourselves as most Gen Zs will say. So movement, you should have understood it that it is movement along, obviously. So movement along the demand curve is also the same as saying what? Change in quantity demanded. Why did they call it movement along the demand curve? Something you are definitely going to know right now. But number one thing you need to know is that it's called movement along the demand curve and is affected by only one factor affecting demand. And what is it called? Price of the commodity. And because we've known already now that only price of the commodity is the only thing that affects change in quantity demanded, what else do I need to know about this? Then I need to know that change in quantity demanded is divided into two. I have what? I have the first one called increase in quantity demanded. And I have the second one called decrease in quantity demanded. Now, even without me drawing the graph, think about it. What can lead to increase in quantity demanded? What can make me to buy more of a product? Remember, maybe the only thing that can affect you to buy more or less of a product is the what? Is the price. Now, what can now make you to buy more? What would have been happening to the price? Exactly, you guessed correctly. The price must have reduced, right? So if the price has reduced, I should be buying or I should be having increase in quantity demanded. And because of that, let's draw the graph for it. How will I draw the graph for something to show that the price came down? That's the reason why I have increase. So if it is always the something for price, y-axis for price, quantity for what? For the x-axis, right? Now let's quickly do some very good scenario to make sure that we actually are on the same page. If something was 10 naira, I was buying how many? We were buying 50. It is 10 naira and I'm buying how many? I was buying 50. Remember, you want to draw increase in quantity demanded. For you to draw increase in quantity demanded, where is the increase for the quantity? This quantity here. It means that it is moving from 50 naira to something, right? To something bigger than 50 naira. That's maybe to 70. That means I was buying 50 naira. I was buying 50 when the price was 10. Suddenly, I started buying 70. What could have made me started buying 70? Remember, it must have been something to do with price, right? So what would have happened to my price? Is it my price would have come down or my price would have gone up? Yeah, the price must have come down. So if the price is coming down, it means that I need to draw this from here like this, less than 10. Maybe the price is coming down to what? Maybe the price is coming down to 3 naira now. That's the reason why I'm buying 70. Remember, I took it from the point of what I was buying previously to what I'm buying now. Previously, I'm buying it at 10 naira and I was buying 50 quantities. Suddenly, from 50, I started buying 70. Why would I be buying 70? Exactly, because the price must have reduced. So basically, is my demand. Do not mind my drawing. So I'm basically done with increase in quantity demanded. Just done. Remember, there is nothing so difficult here except the fact that I just use arrow to depict that this is increasing from 50 to 70, and this is reducing from 10 to what, to 3, right? And that is it. Now let's come to the second part, decrease in quantity demanded. Why would I have a decrease in quantity demanded? Obviously, something must have happened to the price. What could have happened to the price for me to have a decrease in quantity? Yeah, the price must have come down. And because of that, how will I draw it? Draw it the same way. And that is what we're doing this price, quantity. And let's see, if the price is 5 naira, I'm picking another scenario now. Price of something was 5 naira and I was buying, let's say I was buying 120. I was buying 120 commodities or 120 quantities of it. Suddenly, what could have happened for my 120 quantities to suddenly just drop? I just started buying just 20. From 120, it dropped to 20. What could have happened? Obviously, my quantity dropped. It must be because of the price. So the price must have done what? The price must have actually what? Gone up. Because the price has gone up, what will happen? That's the reason why I dropped or my quantity came down. And how will I draw that? It means that the price must have gone beyond 5. Is that not true? Exactly. So the price must be somewhere around here now. Maybe the price is now from 5 naira, it is now 15 naira. Because the price went from 5 naira to 15 naira, I dropped from buying 120 quantities to 20 quantities. And because of that, I'm having this thing I demand. So I want to believe there is nothing I've drawn on this board that you should not be getting, because I really took my time to actually make sure every scenario is understood and every drawing is gotten to the latter. So, any question based on this? I want to believe there is none. A quick summary of what I've done is change in quantity demanded can also be called movement along the demand curve and is solely affected by just one factor affecting demand. And what is that factor called? The price. Now, if it is being affected by price, there are basically just two types of change in quantity demanded: increase in quantity demanded, decrease in quantity demanded. Now think, what could have happened for me to have increase in quantity demanded? The price must have gone down for me to have increase in quantity. And what would have happened for me to have a decrease in quantity demanded? The price must have what? The price must have gone up for me to have decrease in quantity demanded. So I guess that totally explains what change in quantity demanded is. Now, if you are YX students and you are in this live session, it means that now you already understood when a question is brought out saying that with the aid of diagram, differentiate between change in quantity demanded and change in demand. Obviously, you already know what to write when it comes to change in quantity demanded. As little as this is on the board, I was not writing definition. If I were to put up definition and I'm still going to draw all of this, it is most likely a page already. It means that if I'm differentiating between this and that, I should be having at least 2 pages. That's why I said 2 pages will be enough to do justice to that question. So what I've just drawn is entirely what? Change in quantity demanded. Now let's go to the next one, which is change in demand. For change in demand, is there anything that makes it so different from change in quantity demanded? Absolutely, obviously. If there is no difference, then there is no reason why we'll be in this class to start learning any of them. So for now, just bear with me and let's learn what could be the difference between this and this. Now, for change in demand, obviously, starting from the first thing that you can notice is that this one does not have quantity and this has a quantity. Because this does not have a quantity, it means that the factor that would be affecting change in demand would never and ever be what? The price. Because it's only price that can make me buy less or more of something. That means the quantity part. So if quantity is not here, that means price is not the factor. It's something else that would be the factor for me to change my demand. Now, changing your demand could be like you are changing entirely to a new product. Changing your demand could be that you're actually changing the quantity of that goods that you're buying. Remember, why would you be changing the goods or the quantity of a particular goods that you're buying? It could be as a result of any of the remaining factors affecting demand. Let me put that down for you. It means that all other factors affecting demand except what? Except the big man called price. Because you know, price is the only thing that affects change in quantity demanded. So price is not part of the factors that is affecting change in demand. It means that every other thing you might be thinking of that is the factor affecting demand is what affects change in demand. But remember, one guy is always exempted. And what is that guy called? Price. So because price is always exempted, because price is not the factor affecting demand, affecting change in demand, you need to know that what are the other factors that can affect or that can lead to my change in demand are the likes of number one, starting with the second one I said, price of related commodity, right? So if I have price of related commodities like what? Maybe the Milo Bonfita was trying to explain, that is a factor. Another thing that can affect is your income of consumer. Another thing, population. Another thing, taste. Another thing, habit. Another thing, government policy. Another thing, weather condition, blah, blah, blah. So many. All of them are what affects your change in demand. But remember, with the exception of one guy, and what is that guy called? The price. Do not mix them up. That's why I'm really doing everything to tell you that that is the only thing that makes it different from changing quantity demanded. So remember that. Put that and know that already. Remember, if you know that, you have actually know 1% confusion that most economic students found themselves in. And because of that, you might be called a genius outside to some people just for knowing that single confusion that has destroyed so many lives. That was a joke, by the way. So let's just move forward from here. So we said all other factors affecting demand except price is what affects what? Change in demand. So let's now see how many types of change in demand do we have, just like this guy? Two, right? This one is definitely two. I hope you know that it is not price I'm saying that we have two types of. Change in quantity demanded is the one that has this type and this type. Why change in demand is the one that I'm about to write. Do not think because I'm drawing it from price, that is two types of price. No, the types of change in demand. Oh, before I move forward to the types of change in demand, what is the other name that you would see in your past question that they normally call this? It's always been called shift in demand. So they call these guys the shifters. You know, if I were to make a movie and I want to give them names and nicknames, I'll call these guys the shifters, like vampire, shapeshifters, and the likes. This one will be called that. Why this one? What are you going to call them? The movers, obviously. If you can use that one to recognize the difference between them, I'll be so happy actually, because you already know the difference between them. Movement just looks like this, being affected by price only. Why the shifters? What happens? They are they are shifted by all other factors affecting demand except what? Except price. Good. Now, what is the first type of change in demand? The first type of change in demand is also increase in demand. And the second type obviously will be what? decrease in demand. For increase in demand, what does this particularly mean? This particularly mean that my demand is increasing. Why would my demand increase? Remember, it is not because of price. Everything in your mind that might be telling you that maybe price costs it, remove it. You can use anything to remove that thinking from your head that it is because of price. No, it is not, and do not think it is because of price, because the only thing that is affected by price is change in quantity demanded. This one is affected by all other things except price. Why would I be having increase in demand? Obviously, it is anything affecting demand except price, obviously. Now, let's try to draw it so that you can see what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Maybe this is always price and this is always quantity, right? What else do you want to know? Oh, we need to put some scenarios, right? Let's put some scenarios to see. Um, sorry. The price of something is 3 naira, and I do buy, or I buy how many quantity? Let's say I do buy 10 quantities of that thing. The price of something is 3 naira, and I buy 10 of it. Remember what I want to draw. What I want to draw is increase in demand. It means that my demand, which is 10, increases, right? If my demand increases, that means 10 increases from 10 to, let's say, 15. What would have cost it for 10 to move to 15? You know, your mind will still be telling you that, price, is price. Except what? Except price. Now, if it's price now, you'll have said, oh, maybe the price of 3 naira came down. But it is not price. What could it be? It could now start thinking about anything. Like what? Let me start. Forgetting that it could be your income too. Income. The more your income, shouldn't your demand also increases? Exactly. If I'm collecting 50,000 as salary, I'll buy everything I want to buy in my house, or everything I want to consume would be just 50,000. But if I'm collecting a salary of 150,000, do you think I'll still be buying something worth of 50,000? Obviously not. I'll buy things more than 50,000. It means that the higher your income, the higher the demand of your goods. That means the higher things you buy. It's just normal principle. So if my price, I buy 10, and now suddenly I'm buying 15, was it because of the price? That's the question now. Was it because of the price? Obviously not, right? It means that that product is still being sold for 3 naira, and now I'm buying what? I'm buying 15. If you are still confused, do not worry. I'm going to go back a little bit. Something is 3 naira, and I buy 10 of it. Suddenly, I started buying 15. The next question would be, was it because of price? If you can answer that question for me, then that means, if you say no, then you've already know this already. It means that nothing is happening to this price. The price is still 3. The price is not coming down, it is not going up. Suddenly, I'm just buying 15. It means that it is still 3, but now I'm buying what? 15. If they now ask you what cost it, you could say that, oh, maybe my income changed and now I'm collecting more money. Yes. But did the price change? No, the price is still 3 naira. But because I'm collecting more money, I started buying 15. Or it will be that, oh, no, 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 no. It is because we are in Harmattan season. Before, I used to buy 10 sweaters. But because of Harmattan season and I needed to wear at least 2 or 3 sweaters at once, I started buying 15. Was it because the price of sweater changed? No. It was because of the weather condition. That is why you increased the demand of your goods. So basically, it is not because of price. It is because of all other things affecting demand except what? Except the price. So obviously, previously, this is my demand, right? Now, this is now my new demand. I can call this one D0, D0, to tell people that, oh, this is my previous one, 0. And I can call this one D1, D1, to tell people that, oh, this is now my new demand curve. 0 is previous, 1 is new. 0 and 1. I'm quite sure with this now, you should be able to have understood this now, right now, right? Exactly. Let's move to this so we can easily conclude our class, because obviously We have just 6 minutes left for us to stop the class. Let's say decrease in demand. What could decrease in demand be causing? Yeah, let's see. These are our demand. This is price. This is quantity, right? Now let's give this scenario that we always give very fast. Assuming the price of something was 5 naira and I was buying how many? Let's say I was buying let's say I was buying 70 of it. It is always for 5 naira and I buy 70. Suddenly I reduce from 70 to 10. What could have happened? I know that mind will still tell you that price, price, price. But remember, what are you doing? Change in demand. Is it always affected by price? No. Anything is not affected by price in change in demand. But can it be affected by all other factors affecting demand? Yes. Channel that price is not there. So how will I explain this thing to somebody that, oh, before I was buying 70, now I started buying 10, and the price is still 5 naira. They did not change the price. The price is still 5 naira. Why did I started buying 10 instead of buying 70? Oh, I can now tell the person, oh, well, um, before I was on a salary of 50,000. Now they now demote me. I'm now collecting 10,000. Is that not justifiable? Yes, because you won't be able to buy things that you buy at 50,000 anymore. Because before you are on a salary of 50,000, now you are now on a salary of 10,000. Obviously, you won't be able to buy what you buy before. Or you can easily say that, oh yeah, there is government policy that says that, oh, previously this 5 naira that I buy the thing, maybe it is cigarette that I buy, and cigarette is being sold for 50 for 5 naira, and I used to buy 70. But now government have banned cigarettes. Now we cannot take cigarette anymore, and because of that, it reduces my demand from 70 to what, to 10. Is that justifiable also? Yes. Did the price of cigarettes change? No. A very good example also is pelebe abi. They call it pelebe. That small sachet gin or Chelsea, whatever, whatever. Government just ban it, but people that still consume it consume little of it compared to previously. It means that before, people can buy as much as 100 and take it for a whole day. But now, because government's ban is on that product, what happens? You can hardly take 20 for a whole day. It means that that kind of product, is it that the price was the one that changed? The price is not changing. What changed was what? Was your quantity. And because your quantity changed and it's still at the same price, I just need to tell people that, oh, this is my old demand. So D0, D0. And this is now my what? My new demand. D1, D1. Telling people that, oh, my demand was coming from here to what? To here. Have I explained both of them to your understanding? I so much believe that I have, because I so believe that everything I've done so far is actually speaking to anything that you need to know regarding your jam practice. And obviously, by this is just demand and supply 2. We still have demand and supply 3, we still have demand and supply 4, we still have demand and supply 5, if there would be, obviously. And it means that with this, you have taken it in another step to know what demand and supply is. And I want to believe that you know what we have done so far regarding both of these guys, and you don't have any problem learning each of them anymore. So my next class, obviously, we'll be looking at the intricacies of what we have learned previously and what we have learned now to solve questions. I'm so sorry. I should be doing questions right now, right? But do not worry, we are going to pen questions time to when we need to solve those questions. Maybe by next class, we are definitely going to solve questions. But for now, if you know you do have some questions and you do, or you still think that some things are not very clear, or perhaps you joined the live session very late, do not worry, I've got it covered. Or we at C have got it covered actually. You can drop your questions, you can really ask for something that you don't understand. You can ask for it in the comment section of wherever you might be joining from. It could be the YouTube, it could be the WhatsApp group. Do not worry, I will personally respond to you if it's a question that I really need to actually get. I need to really clear your curiosity. Let's put it that way. So do not hesitate to drop your question. Do not hesitate to reach out when you need help, and also do not hesitate to start now. Remember, your jam is few weeks away already. So with this, I'll be coming to the end of we learning about what change in quantity demand is and what change in demand is. As I've said, I'll see you by next class. And with this, peace out.